This lesson is multiplying two numbers that both have a decimal in them. For the lesson, we're going to multiply 2.8 times 3.4. Now we're going to start with each digit in the bottom number, 3.4, or 3 4/10. We're going to multiply each digit on the bottom by each digit of the top number with respect to the place values that they're in. We always start, for consistency reasons, with the digit in the bottom left, or you can remember this by thinking it's the digit closest to the multiplication symbol. When we're using decimals with multiplication, we have to pretend the decimals are not in our numbers until we get to the very end and we get our answer, and we'll put them back in. So for now, we're going to pretend those decimals aren't there, which instead of 2.8 and 3.4, that would make those numbers 28 and 34. We're going to start with the 3. First, I'm going to set up my problem. That 3, like we said, without the decimal, would really be a 30. We're going to multiply 30 first by the number directly above it. We're going to start in the largest place value with each number, the bottom number and the top number. Since we said we were going to multiply each digit on the bottom by each digit on the top, I'm going to set up my problem first. We're going to multiply 30. We're going to multiply that by 20, the number representing the digit right above it. Then we're going to next multiply that by the next digit. That would be 30. And since the 8 would be in our ones place, since we're assuming the decimal is not there till the end, we're just going to say 30 times 8. Next, we're going to move to the 4. We're going to multiply that by each digit in our top number, 28. Now the 4, since it's in the ones place, its value is really only 4. We're going to take a look at the top number, and we're going to again multiply that 4 first by the number in the largest value on our top number. That would be the 2. Since we're assuming the decimal isn't there, that 2 would be in the tens place, and that would actually be worth 20. Next, since we've multiplied by the 2, we're going to multiply 4 by the number directly above it now, which is 8. Since that 8 would be in the ones place if the decimal wasn't there, it's only worth 8. Now we need to do our multiplication since our problem is set up. Now 30 times 20 seems like a difficult problem if you think about it at first. But if you use our strategy, it actually is a pretty simple problem. The simple problem in 30 times 20 is really 3 times 2. Then since we have 2 zeros, we can add our zeros on after we multiply our simple problem, 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. I'm going to add my 2 zeros first so I can keep my columns lined up to do my addition at the end of the problem. So since we have a 0 in our 30 and a 0 in our 20, we'll add our 2 zeros on right now. And I'm going to space them out really nicely so I can line up my columns, like I said, to do my addition at the end. 3 times 2 is 6. So 30 times 20 is really 600. We did our simple problem first, we added our first 0, and then we added our second 0. Let's move on to our next problem. 30 times 8. To make this a simple problem, we're going to multiply the 2 digits and then add our 0 on. We see that we have 1 0 in 30. We're going to add our 0 in first to keep our columns lined up. We know that 3 times 8 is 24. So 30 times 80 is really 240. We can cross that out now. Let's move on to the next multiplication problem. 4 times 20 is a little bit of a difficult problem, so we're going to focus on our simple problem first. 4 times 2. and we know we're adding 1 0 in, so let's cross out the 0, add our 0 in first to keep our columns lined up. 4 times 2 is 8, so 40 times 20 is 80. Our last problem is 4 times 8. 4 times 8 is 32. We've done all of our problems now, so I'll cross them all out. Now all we need to do is add up the answers to our 4 multiplication problems. We have our columns nicely lined up, so we don't get confused while we're adding. 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0, starting in the column all the way to the right, is 2. I'll put my number down on the bottom. Let's go to the next column in the middle. 3 plus 8 is 11, plus 4 is 15, plus 0 is still 15. I'm going to put my number in my ones place down here below the column that I added up, and I'm going to carry my 1 from my tens place all the way up to this next column. 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Now that we've completed our math, we have an answer. However, we can't forget about the decimals at the end of the problem. Let's take a look at our decimals in our question. We have, in our first factor, 2.8, we have 1 place to the right of the decimal. Let's check to see how many places to the right of the decimal we have in our next problem. 3.4, we have 1 more place to the right of our decimal. That means that we're going to move our decimal 2 places in our answer. Now, since 952 doesn't have a decimal in it yet, we're assuming that our decimal is here, after the 2. Since there's 2 places in the top of our problem, to the right of the decimals, we're going to move this 1, 2. So our decimal will be between the 9 and the 5. So our answer will be 9.52, or 9 and 52 hundredths.